Okay, hi. Is it now? Why are you calling yourself now there? You're the first person in class. Hello. Just give me a couple of seconds. I'm inviting people to the space. Come through, guys. I hope my mic is audible. Molweni, guys. Hi, guys. Is my mic audible? You know, the other day I dropped my phone. Thank you. Okay, you just answered me. So it doesn't ring anymore. So I had to check with you guys. Okay, yes, Wagala, otherwise don't. Okay, I'm just sending out the tweet to tell that come to school. We are here. Just give me 2 seconds, guys. Remember, I need somebody to help co-host so that they can accept the speaker request because I can't do it from my side. So I just need a volunteer. I need a volunteer. You don't need to be heavily involved. So you don't need to be scared of the mic. I mean, you don't need to fear that you're going to be given the mic. You're literally there to help with the technical elements of accepting speaker requests. So please might have somebody to volunteer because I'm seeing it's not my usual people here who know the drill. So I'm trying to figure out who is going to help me. But anyways, let me start with this topic with the people who are here with us. So yeah, guys, I saw your life is getting very fascinating for me because I'm getting older, ne? And there's like a whole new generation that's come in and they're confident and they're doing their thing. And the girls are there doing their podcasts and saying all sorts of wild shit. So now we're like, wow, okay, shit. So this is where we're at. So yesterday I saw that I don't know if it was a podcast or what, but Kimanki Nicole somebody, Lelo and Nicole. Babu Wakaibo Indoda must. Guys, I do need somebody to come help me co-host. So Mazamo, I'm just going to invite you to co-host, please, so that you can accept speaker requests. I don't get speaker requests on my side. So for people to be able to speak. So today's topic is should men give women money in relationships? So I really feel like we need to unpack this, right? Because as much as it's very nice to receive money and gifts, it also is the reason that men objectify us. Um, so it's a little bit, yeah, yeah, I don't know. So the conversation for me is what are these responsibilities, these gender responsibilities we've given each other? And what do you think of them? And do you think that men should be giving women money? And if women are receiving money in relationships, then what are men receiving? Um, you know, things like that. I just saw there was a speaker request just now, but then it disappeared again. So I think that I still do have technical problems. I'm hoping somebody will come help me co-host. But I want to talk about this situation where I think what struck me about yesterday's conversation mostly was that the the people who had the very high expectations, they themselves are broke motherfuckers. So I was like, how I was just wondering, Guti, how are you gonna be broke but expecting somebody else to cover you? I don't know. So don't laugh. Because I was just like, wow, this is fascinating. Because even Nakon, I could tell that also. Okay, let me not put it this way. Let me just say, I don't, you know, I'm trying to be politically correct about everything because I don't want to be in shit, guys. But the different types of upbringings and backgrounds. Um, do educated women speak the same language of Indoda must? Is it a general? No, this can't say because you know. I think why I'm very taken aback and perturbed about the situation is that I am fortunate enough to have seen women who don't need money from men. And the way they speak and they present themselves in the world is very different from the rest of us broke girls. And I'm saying us because I'm also there. And I also get caught into that mess of kind of appreciating the gifts, but I also understand that it can't be transactional and it's disempowering when it's like that. So please request the mic. The mic is open. I don't know if you guys are already requesting because my hey yeah. I told you my I can't accept speaker requests this side. So I do need somebody to wave at me to give me a sign that, okay, they don't mind being a co-host because you guys are all completely new listeners or that have been gone for a long time. But I don't have any of my regulars who usually help me with the co-hosting. I do need, oh yes, we are there. You wanted to actually speak earlier on. So I don't know if it was by mistake. But we do, yeah, I have a speaker request there, but I don't know how to access it, is my problem, guys. So I'm gonna try a little bit longer. I'm gonna stay on a little bit longer to see if they come through or if we can get around this technical problem, because I think this is the conversation we do want to have. I see there's a lot of guys here. I know that guys, from a guy's point of view, there a lot of guys are complaining about this habit of having to give women money. But a lot of those guys are also the broke guys, and I don't mean to be rude. Sorry, like I do, like politically correct and stuff. But it seems like the broke guys complain about girlfriend allowance more than the guys who actually have got money. And the reality is that when you do give us money, it does put you a little bit further. I know this is so disgusting. I feel very bad for saying all of this, but this is a conversation we've got to have. Um, the thing is that it works when the boys give us money. It works more than when they don't give us money. So where do we stand as women, and how do we emancipate ourselves if we are getting into relationships and still wanting money? And again, I was asking Gucci, okay, if we receive money, what do the guys receive? I'm gonna go on my timeline. Maybe I'm missing something here. But the thing is, um, guys, I'm not getting the speaker request, and this is so stressful because I want to hear your points of views. I never ever speak on my spaces. I actually just always listen. So we're gonna try on for 2 more minutes, Nyan. Because there's no point if it's just me and my point of view. I mean, we know how I feel about this. Actually, no, we don't. Because even me myself, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. But I saw the other day, I got irritated. Um, I felt like in my relationship, I was like, no, I don't want to be doing Makoti duties because I'm not married to you. But then I sat down and I was like, shit, but when we go out, this guy's the one paying. Shit. Yeah, he gives me a bit of ish. So it kind of feels like, on behalf of the woman, I'd like to say that we might be being hypocrites at the moment. So I just wanted to get around. Yeah, I wanted to understand where we stand with the gender roles. And yeah, like, what do we women bring to the table? I hate that I'm even saying that. And in the same light, no, don't laugh, guys. In the same light, I've always said that what women bring to the table and what men bring to the table, the difference is that what men bring to the table is quantifiable. It's economic. You can put numbers to it and stuff. Whereas with us, we've never quantified the spiritual wealth we bring into the space, you know? Um, we've never quantified the domestic part of relationships or how much it's worth. Because men come from work and they're like, okay, this is what I'm worth. So it's tricky. It's tricky. Should men give women money in relationships? Personally, I really feel like it helps, but I know it's not a good thing because it makes you vulnerable and it makes people abuse you. So it's not a good idea. I mean, I think that I'd also be speaking a different language if I was economically free and like, I just think that it just depends where you are on your money line as a woman. And the higher up you are, when you can afford yourself, the more freedom you have of choice and what relationships and what you accept in the relationship. So I think that's actually what it's about. It's actually about you being able to make your own money so that you can actually. Because I was thinking, I was like, this is a terrible thing to say right now, but you must think about it. Where you're like, okay, if I had to minus the money from my partner, would I be here? Let's say. So these are just some of the things that I think as a woman I'm asking myself and I'm going through. I wish my phone was working so that I could accept your speaker request. I'm so sorry about that. And it just means now I must end the session, which is so fucking useless because I can see it says for request to speak. Okay, here's one that might be coming through. Yo, guys, I can't believe how difficult this is. Okay, I think I just got one. Favorite Bavarian. And hopefully I'm just gonna make you the co-host. You see, it's not even working. I accepted your fear Bavarian. I accepted your request and it's not working. This is so horrible. Okay, and I always say this. I always say that I actually need a phone because this is crazy. Oh, there we go. Fear Bavarian, you are actually able to speak now. And Gasi Life, I'm also approving you. This is so dope. So the ancestors have agreed. They've actually agreed. Guys, I'm going to make one of you guys a co host so that you can help me accept requests. Fear Bavarian, good evening. Hi, what are your thoughts?
Hi, Sister John. You well?
I'm very well, my darling. I'm listening.
All right. I wish when we talk about these things that it would be a straightforward yes or no answer. But the reality is when you get into a relationship, you're not getting into a relationship with the whole gender, you're getting into a relationship with an individual. And I think, umdlalo bafethu, as much as it looks like it really isn't a team sport. I guess nowadays, because akufetshwa, kodwa, most times it really isn't a team sport. And as for what women bring to the table, it's really up to the guy that you're with. He's gonna know. He's gonna look at you and he's gonna put the calculation. All right, is this a woman I want? Is this a woman that I don't want? Then he's gonna go after you. And I think a guy who knows his own story, he doesn't need to ask you what you bring to the table because he knows what you bring to the table. He sees it and then he puts you there. I think it's the guy who's not quite sure what he wants from a woman that has to ask her first. I think most times I don't need to do that. I can see what she brings to the table, and if I'm happy with it, I get it done. As for should men give women and money, or should men give women money in relationships? Once again, another one where it depends because we all have this conception which if you're a broke woman, you don't deserve to get money from rich men, and that's just not how life works. We all know how life works. In life, you don't get what you deserve; you get what you bargain for. So, women do not need to ask broke guys for permission to get a rich man if a rich man wants you. If that's what you want and he wants you, go for it. It's all good. So I think at the end of the day, those I think this comes from what those YouTube hands that were talking like that. At the end of the day, they're confident because they know they're going to get the niggas with the money, and it is what it is. It really doesn't matter. And I think I really don't care to worry myself about what other women are doing. You know what your market is, you know what your lane is, and you provide that. And I think, you know, it's a lot of odd pocket watching, because I think on the other side of it, there's a bit of the same thing. I don't wanna do try to equivocate men and women. Good, there's a equal this and equal that, but to me, I'll just say that at the end of the day, in life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you bargain for. And those women set themselves up to be accepted by rich men, and it goes like that, and it continues like that, and ends like that. So no matter how you feel about it, women are still going to get money. And if you're not getting your own money, okay, you're going to be hating from outside the club, and that's that.
Okay, wow. So that's a lot. Thank you for accepting the co-host. Hopefully now we'll be able to access the speaker requests. I'm seeing there 4 speaker requests, but they're not coming up on my thing, guys. I'm so sorry. That was actually quite encouraging because we do feel bad about it. It's just that there's something about accepting money from a man that gives away power. Black is, I see you are completely ready to speak. We're listening.
Okay, so this is a very difficult topic to have, as a previous speaker has mentioned. But I just wanted to say that you actually mentioned a valid point. I think it's quite important that we all understand that the value that men bring is quantifiable, and you can't really measure the maternal instinct that we actually bring, that is quite necessary. And as the previous speaker said, Uti, Uguti, men can basically see what they want and they actually go for it. So you can't really judge whatever another person wants or what they're actually willing to offer. Often women just have it already, and men are the ones that are unsure and are the one willing to offer whatever they can. So in terms of money, I think this is quite tricky because we must be realistic about the economic situation that we are in. Like, guys, like, it's rough. Like, whether you're making money, whether you're in business, whether you're not, whether you're schooling, whether you're working 9 to 5, the economic situation is quite tough. And it just so happens that the women that do ask for money are quite realistic about their situation, and it's not all rosy. In our families, the responsibilities that we have. And if you're in a relationship with a person, you have to sort of help each other. And often it's not spoken about how many women actually also help men in their families. It's always, us receiving, us needing something, but there are a number of women also helping men. So the reality of the situation is that we in an economic crisis, and especially as abantu abamnyama, like Guraf. So it just so happens that men rather tolerate women who don't, need the basic necessities, just bread, just money to go to work, just money for lipstick, money for hair, just toiletries. It's maybe too low for them. They would rather have a woman who can take care of those things, or does not need a 500 rand or like 200 bucks. They would rather, pay like 5 grand for a dinner. They would rather spend 13 grand for a trip elsewhere, which does not really make sense, because they end up spending more. So even the independent women that you're saying that they can take care of themselves, the point is that every woman wants to be spoiled. So if Bona, the independent women, can afford their toiletries, can afford their petrol, they will still want to be spoiled some way or another. So if they can take care of the basic things, maybe pay for rent, they're going to expect you to a trip to, I don't know, Cape Town, a trip to somewhere, and it's going to cost much more money. It's not Uti just because one is an independent woman, they don't expect you to do anything. That is bullshit. And I think the men know that as well. You have to basically do much more than they can do for themselves. So as for as Ntsiki said, as broke women who are going to ask for money for sunlight or something, it's just you get to disrespect us more. You get to, tell us that we don't deserve it, we cannot do this, or you just get to disrespect us more, and you are actually able to even tolerate disrespect from another woman depending on their financial, position, what they're able to do for themselves. So now when you're just like, hey, ngishota ngemali taxi or ngishota I don't know, 150 a petrol, it's just like, who's this woman to actually tell me this? So I don't know if it's some intimidation or whatever it is that makes us deserve, or the independent women deserve respect from you guys, or what it is, but there are different levels of treatment between a woman who's independent, or a woman who can take care of the basic needs for Yena, and a woman who actually can't. So it's quite confusing, and you choose to be ignorant of the economic situation that we're in. So mina mangizothi ngishota nge-3,000 rands your school fees, you're gonna tell me that fuck that shit, I'm not your parent. But the moment your independent woman says that the car installments just lapsed 3 months now, you're able to budget in. So there's quite some, there's something that I genuinely don't understand. And last point, ukuthi singakhohlwa the amount of men that also receive help from women who don't go around bakhuluma ukuthi, oh, this is what I did for my man, and yeah, I deserve this in return and whatsoever. It's because Gurav, the economic crisis that we're actually in, so we do have to help one another some way or another, if we are being quite realistic. So I'll just leave it there.
Phew, I've missed you guys. Ati, hi. Hi, Ati.
Hi. Hi, can you
How
hear
is
me?
my We're listening.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly, my darling.
It's actually my first time contributing to East Space. Don't. Thank you for breaking my virginities, Ntsiki. Okay, so with regards to this thing of should men give women money, I personally don't have a problem with men giving women money if and when they want to. I think the problem is the entitlement and the expectation. And as to get all ladies ababenze video with the whole I want a man with 50K and whatnot, I think then we are allowed somewhat to then say, what do you bring to the table? Because you've got such high expectations. But akho ngxaki ke xa kuthiwa umntu wakho nje uthi xa evuka ekuseni athi baby nansi imali for no reasons at all, as and andithethi ke ngendaba mhlawumbi ke ze-transactions nee-blesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tsonke. Good evening.
Good evening, Ntsiki. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say, I mean, I loved what Blackis was saying earlier. But I just wanted to say, I think with this topic, the thing that will age Black women, I don't think anything ages us more than always worrying about abantu bazothini. There is nothing that ages us more than that, because we focus on that so much to the point that it can end up derailing your whole life. I think if you think demographically, probably the type of person who has the least amount of psychological stress is probably a white woman, right? the most protected in society, and also just and maybe it's their upbringing and all of these things, but this audacity to decide what you want and to go for it, you know, and to not be traumatized by abantu bazothini, which abantu, and who cares. And I think, the thing is, you know in the, like, we have this aversion to deciding what we want and seeking it up until the point that we get it and not settling. I don't know how many black women on this call can relate to, reaching the age of 26, 27, 28, and being told to go and have a child by the very parents who told you not to hold a boy's hand, right? They're the same people who are going to tell you to go and have a child because, like, usumdala manje, why ungenangani, awunalutho. Fuck your career, fuck whatever you've done in your life, any other accomplishments you've had. You do not have a child, therefore you have nothing, right? You may have many properties, you may have built a business, you may have a great career, you may have a wonderful life that you like, but because you don't have a child, you do have nothing. So go and make a child because, like, mntanam, like, akuhlangani. So, it's like we always vexed with this thing of having to do what everyone else wants us to do besides ourselves. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with deciding, thinking about what you want. And it doesn't have to be like a PhD thesis. It can really be a simple thing. Deciding what you want for your life and going for it and seeking it and not settling until it's your reality. And if that means it's a man who gives you X amount of thousands of rands every month, what is wrong with that? That does not have to mean we don't we mustn't, and the thing is, we get caught up in this abantu bazothini. Does this mean I'm a slay queen? Does this mean I'm a this? Does this mean I'm a whatever? Hey, be at peace with your life. What do you want? And what are what are you willing to do in order to get what you want, and how does your life as a whole look like? What is going to define your happiness? Because, and that's just it. Then we don't have to kind of theorize around, should men give money, give women money. You will find that it's a lot more people, and I think Black is alluded to it a bit in what she was saying, but even with, my parents' generation, you'll find a lot more women, more women who are holding it down than the men. It's kind of like very different to what we're taught to believe, because as in izinto azithethe, where you can't put it across as though indoda was not kind of the financially stable one, right? It's like these women will work they asses off and will always be consistent financially, but it will never really be the image that the family puts across, right? For various reasons. So if you don't want that toil, if you are not trying to go after that stress, like, what is wrong with not wanting it? TD Jakes always says you really don't need, you honestly can do bad all by yourself. You do not need a man to help you do bad in your life. You can do that by yourself. What you would need is someone to elevate the situation that you're in. And if that specifically means financially, then that's fine. Some women don't need that, and that's equally fine. I think that the fundamental issue is our inability to be honest about the things that we want and to go for them, because we are so worried about the connotations. And obviously, a lot of that worry is because of generationally and historically and social context and all of these things. But the women who have the courage to step outside of that are always the ones who are going to be called by other Black women, who are going to be called names, right? Because sometimes you'll find that it's the very Black women who are calling their names are the ones who don't have the courage to go after that very same thing that they too want. So I think the fundamental issue is us being afraid to just define the type of life that we want and to seek it until we have it, and to not settle along the way because according to somebody else, you should have a child, or you should have this, or you should have whatever, you know. So I mean, I- for me, that's the fundamental thing, and I'm not saying that I'm good at it, because I'm not. Right, I'm not good at defining all of the things that I want and whatever, but it's definitely a work in progress for me. But it's something that I have had to self reflect on myself, to say, okay, but why am I judging her for um wanting this and having this in her life and seeing how it works for her? Why do I judge her? Right? Maybe it's an indictment on me and not so much on that other woman. For me, that's the fundamental thing that we need to work around. Thanks.
Thank you. T-Boz and then Mandlo.
Hey guys, how's it?
Hey, hey, we can hear you.
Cool, cool. I was just listening to Onke, man, and I just want to say that's a fantastic speech that she gave, especially to empower women to go for what they want. But when we go back to the topic at hand, should men give women money? And we cannot ignore or be oblivious to the fact that most men that give um, women money comes from a point of power play. We cannot ignore the fact that these young women who are dependent on these guys,
What am I doing,
uh, yeah, these guys that give these young women money. I stay in Midrand, and we see it all the time where this guy can just dictate what this lady does with the money. He can just control, so yes, going for that is all good and well, but is it sustainable for this young girl's life? Going for a man with money, is it sustainable? We cannot argue the fact that that also contributes to GBV in a certain state. These guys that give these women money, they feel like they can control. So I'm not saying it's wrong in a relationship space, but if you're gonna say women must go for what they want in that state, I think we need to explore what comes with it, the positives and the negatives with it, and not give people a false sense of identity of, okay, when you go for what you want, it's always gonna be sunshine and rosy, because the evidence is there in terms of most men that do it. The majority of men that do it are quite getting abusive, and that's what we see with our celebrities in South Africa. That's what we see with our politicians. It's there. It's in our eyes on Twitter. It's there, guys.
Thank you. Yes, I see everybody fighting for the mic. I'm gonna have to be fair with it. I said Mandlo. I don't know what the rest of Itini. What else?
Sorry, Ntsiki, I
Jamisa.
think I don't know how you want to run your space, but I think maybe we should let new speakers come in before we have
Yes,
repeat
I know how
speakers.
to
I think
fight
that
for it, my love. Thank you, Mandlov, and then Uzile, and then we'll come back to you, Onge. Thank you, Mandlov, Njani.
Hello?
Oh, Mandlov, Vandile, Zamisa, Molo,
Yes, ma'am. Maholo kunjani?
Tilili, Njani.
Ngiyaphila nami. Good evening to all of you guys. The topic, should men give women money in relationships? There is nothing wrong to give women money in relationships. But the problem is the entitlement and the statement that women mostly use, that a man must. I think we should look at it along those lines, that women, they think that they are entitled to our money as men in general. And another thing, that men must for women, meaning that we are in a position that we are forced to provide for women for everything that they need or they require in the relationship, which is wrong. I think if we can take it along those lines, and then we can say that, yes, we give men money for what exactly? For basic things, not for luxury, not for weaves on and all those things that are not necessary. I would say that for basic things like living, if she needs airtime, if she needs bus fare, if she needs petrol, if she needs food, if at times you can help her with the rent, or you can help her with the vehicle installment and so forth, or with the transport for the kids, or the school fees for the kids, or for her own school fees to further her studies. You understand? I think we should give women money along those lines. Thank you.
Thank you. Fuzile, do you want to jump in there?
Okay. Yes, yes. Yes, Kunjani Ntsiki.
Lovely.
Yes, yes. Like from where I stand, I think it depends on what kind of relationship are we talking about here, because there are a number of relationship, long term, casual encounter, and so forth and so forth. And I think topic now is directed to actually kulaba casual encounter, because as a man ongaka, mina ekhaya ngifundiswe ukuthi imali uyilethe endlini uyinikeze umama, and then umama will decide and take it from there. That's how you build umuzi. And that's that basically from way back then. You understand? Umama masofike nemali endlini, uyamcela uthi mama, okay, let's say nayi 20,000. So can I have maybe 2 grand ngiyophuza nabangani, or 1,000 rand yokuzijabulisa? Now we're confusing the issue. My relationship. I stand for corrections, because now slay queens, abubani bani. Those are casual encounters. Obviously, amadoda amaningi, they felt so weak when it comes to those things. You understand? Because it's more like bayabateng. So yeah, that was my take. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Onke, you want to jump in?
Thanks, Ntsiki. So, Fuzile, I'll just respond to you first, but I use that terminology because, and I hear your rationale in Dobana, how traditionally what the approach is. And I'm so glad you said it, but the reality is you will find that a lot of men don't think that way and don't do that in relationships, in marriages, right? They don't bring the money home because, do you know what I mean? Like for various reasons. So I was taught in the same way you were taught, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a reality for everybody, right? And you will find that in relationships there are a lot of women who um do want that but don't get it, right? Or who do not necessarily who want all of the money to be brought home to them, but who do want to be given money but don't but are not given it, even in marriages, right? So I'm saying let's be wary of assuming that this pertains to casual relationships alone. I highly doubt it. I don't think it is at all. Because like I said, even in my parents' generation, you'll find a lot of the times where in marriages, like there was none of men doing anything financially substantially. There wasn't much of that, as much as there were women doing that. Um, so yeah, so I wouldn't only limit that to relationships, but I think to what Tibo was saying, I think what I wanted to initially say was that he's absolutely right, right? And just the thoughts about entitlement around power. Completely understand what you're saying, and what I'm saying is that when you're specific about what you want, you're specific about what you want in its entirety, right? So if your sentence begins at "I want a man to give me 20,000 a month," then you deal with the consequences of what that comes with, right? Because you were not specific enough to fully express your desire. I want a man to give me 20,000 rand a month in the context of a loving relationship where he does not use the money to abuse or whatever. There's different ways to frame that thing of what you want, and people do it in different ways. They do it in prayer, they do it in their vision boards, they do it whatever, but you have to be specific, right? And you can't just leave it at a short thing because that's what you saw on Instagram, on Twitter, or whatever, because that's when you end up with the consequences, right? So it's not to dispute anything you're saying at all. You're absolutely right. But, I think it's also because some of those girls do it not even because they want it. They just do it because the situation Yasendlini is very difficult. They're feeding, everyone is eating because of them, and they actually depend on Lendo Betra by Lendoda and will do anything just to get the money because wonke umuntu ubheke lo sisi lo oyi-one and who's young. So you know what I mean? Like, so there's different nuances around these things, and I think the gist of what I was trying to say is you have to decide for yourself and define for yourself what it is that you want for your life. I am very pro women having their own careers and having their own money, but honestly, having worked in corporate for many years, and this is a conversation that I had with colleagues of mine a number of years ago, black colleagues of mine. There is a exhaustion that comes with being an independent woman. It is exhausting, right? And it's not as it's not the beautiful, sexy music video that it purports to be. It's tough, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with us speaking truth to that and being honest about that. And I think because of our history and all of these things, like obviously our parents wanted the best for, and our grandparents wanted the best for us and encouraged us to study and to work and all of these things, which I fully support. But there's nothing wrong to get to a point in your life where you just don't want to hold it all down by yourself, regardless of how much you earn, right? Regardless of how much you earn. If I were to become as wealthy as Oprah, honestly, it doesn't mean that I would just take, I would just be happy with, no disrespect to Stedman, but I'm just trying to say, like, even if I were to be as wealthy as whoever, it doesn't mean that I would just be happy with, whoever comes along. The point for me would be what defines my happiness, and I would go after that. In Oprah, maybe Oprah is a bad example because she's happy with Stedman in her life, but and maybe she's a good example, because that's what makes her happy. What makes her happy is, besides the work that she does, is she loves being with Stedman, and that's just it for her, right? But let's not make the assumption that just because you earn what Oprah earns, that you don't, what could make another person happy would be someone who out earns her. There's nothing wrong with that either. It's almost as though when women attain some modicum of success or whatever, that they must that they must alter their standards. Let me not say lower, that they must alter their standards because they have enough, in inverted commas, money. Doesn't always work that way. People have different dreams, they have different ambitions, they have different things they want to do with their money. And I think a lot of this is around the difficulty as Black people as a whole that we have around money in general. Money in general is a difficult topic for us. We haven't quite cracked the code for many reasons. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to add. Thanks.
Thank you, Marco Pedi. Guys, we're gonna end about 20 past 10. It's gonna be an hour-long session. My battery's about to die. Os Marco Pedi, we're listening. Marco Pedi, are you there? Oh, okay, we're losing you there in. Why are we losing the speakers? Is it crashing or something?
No, it's load shedding hour, so I guess that's why we might be losing some of the speakers.
Ah, well, yeah, because all of a sudden everything just went a bit crazy. Okay, fine. And I see Onke's thing is still going, like she's talking, but we're not hearing her. So, okay, that's what happened. Are there any other speakers? I see we lost speakers there with the load shedding hour. I'm surprised it's not happening to me. But thank you for the session, guys. I'd forgotten how incredible you guys are and how much wisdom always comes out of these sessions. For me, I think it's still about that issue about power and control. And I'm finding that when men have power over you, they tend to abuse it. Here, Bavarian, we're listening, and thanks for helping us co-host. We're listening.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think, this thing about abuse of power, right? I think most people, it's very tempting to make a gender argument for abuse of power, but I think most people abuse power. I think it is with the money thing where we talk about hyper successful men, which are a substrata of, you know, a lot of men. That's like a percentage of a percentage of gents that perform at a certain level financially. But I just think that need, and not necessarily a need, but a desire to control one with power is something that's very human. And I'll use an example that is not even based on a financial scale. In relationships in general, we all know that there's going to be some form of a power balance or some form of power dynamics. One's going to like the other more than the other one, and that's what always happens in Mjolweni. And we know Guti is going to succumb a bit more than the one who is less dependent on the other party. And in those cases, you find that happening as well. It may not be as extreme as one where there's a socio-economic disparity, but you'll still find that thing. And I just think that, in any case, I think being benevolent with power is something that's very important. And I don't want to get too personal, but that's something I saw with my parents growing up. For obviously, my mother ended up being executive towards the end of the career, but earlier on she decided to take care of myself and my brother, and my father was the premium breadwinner for longest amount of time, and that was never an issue. They worked as a team. So I just think that, yeah, it's a conversation, another one altogether about, once you have this money and once you have the woman you want and once you have the power over her, what do you do with it? Is it to make yourself better? Is it to loud control over her, or what? Because I believe that if you go out and pick a woman who's on your schedule and who understands what you're trying to do and who supports you, I don't really think you need to control her that much because she's going in the same direction you are anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of very, very, very intelligent and very different thoughts and viewpoints here. And one of which that I'd also like to tackle is the idea of sort of this thing about entitlement. I don't think entitlement is that bad a thing if you can get what you feel entitled to. You know what I mean? If I always ask myself, who's better than the one who keeps trying and trying and trying and trying? Who doesn't deserve it, quote unquote. They're shooting above their level, but they keep trying until they succeed. And the one who sits there and waits to be worthy. And I think even within corporate, as Black people, we have that issue. These white people who have matrix, they don't qualify for this thing, but they'll try and they'll get it. Tina sohlala lapho and we'll work hard and we'll do overtime and we'll do all these things. Yes, boss, but we won't get the thing because we don't feel like we're worthy. So once again, in many cases, we can make an argument for not so smart women with money or who are broke. We can make an argument for broke guys who can bag some really beautiful women. There's many times where this thing about staying in your own lane, it's a question of should I stay in my lane or not?
Co-host, let's let the other speakers talk. Chief.
All right, sure.
Mr. Chauke, what are your thoughts?
Hey, Ntsiki kunjani? Good morning to the rest of the listeners. Sabonani. No, here are my thoughts. My thoughts starts in one social issue that we have as South Africa in particular before we get to the money issue. I think the problem in South Africa that we have, thanks to Instagram, is that we are so what's the right word? So caught up in this thing of wanting to live the life. Yes, say Instagram as a sentence, but we don't want to live the process of attaining that wealth. So as a result, a lot of women find themselves in relationship where they want men to finance a lifestyle that can actually make them Instagram relevant. That's where the problem starts, number one, more especially in some relationship where you find that the intentions are wrong, simple because people want to sort of fit into a system, a cloud Instagram, right? I think in our own DNA as men, well, if you are a man, is that you to take care and provision is part of what we need to do as men. We need to protect and provide. So provision is not an issue for men. We don't have an issue with that. And I think that once you walk into a relationship as a man, the first thing that you need to ask yourself, are you willing to pay for the relationship, for its maintenance at whatever cost it comes in at? Right? There's a bottom line that we need to put yourself into, and also to show that particular woman that should we have kids, I'm in a position to take care of you as a man, right? But now, what I think becomes a problem is when some women sort of extort us to sort of finance our lifestyle to be Instagram stay queens, and that's where the problem starts. Where it sometimes take away the good side of it, because why some now a lot of us are pulling back and saying, nah, I want to finance Instagram lifestyle. Not at all, you know. But at the end of the day, if it's somebody that you love and you sort of have, you all understand each other's worth and why that money should be there. If I need to do something to finance Ntsiki because Ntsiki is her time, is her season, she's the one that needs to be in front. So let it be. Let the money be paid out there. But as long as that money is not there to finance some form of a clout in a lifestyle, as Instagram, that's why it becomes very problematic. Because now, that's why this topics becomes a very serious issue. Because why? What are we financing for? Because if I'm trying to finance a Louis Vuitton dress for you so that you can just post on Instagram, then dude, then you're dating a wrong person, eh? Because we're going to put my Lisa who don't mind to pay for such things. But as for financing the relationship, because it needs finance, it needs to be sustained, you know, then there is no issue at all. And I don't see why as a man you would want to date if you know you're not in that position. I think as the first thing first, as a man, you need to first start by looking at the fact, are you in a position to provide? Are you in a position to protect? If you can't do that, then you need to work hard enough up until you get there. And I'm not saying that money should be a condition of dating. Why as a woman would you want to work in a relationship where a man should provide for you but he doesn't? You have to justify good, but you're not working, therefore because ufuna umuntu enemali, now you need to be painted wrong. No, I mean, again, it should not be the only condition of dating a man whether he has money, but it also should be about direction. Does the man have a vision? Because sometimes you can do a lot with a man that has a vision than abantu abangana direction. Kunabantu la ngibabona eSouth Africa who have money, ingqondo ayikho tololo, but the money is there, but ingqondo ayikho. So aske balance and sisi between a man that has the brains and the money, or the brains, because with the brains you can always do something. You can always, I mean, what we give as men is not only just about money. My advice to you as a woman, coming from me as a man, it's something more, especially if it has an impact on you, whether in your business, whether in your work environment. You could be going through challenges at work, and I could be advising you as a man. That is value, and it's not just only money. But anyway, now that's in the money topic, I just feel the problem that is now happening in South Africa is that we are financing people's lifestyle on Instagram, and that's where the problem starts. If we're not financing that lifestyle, it could make things better. That's my take. Thank you. Thank you, Ntsiki. Leadership.
Thank you, leadership. We are winding down, guys. We just lost our next speaker, so I'm just gonna give them. Okay, here's Gilbert. Gilbert can just jump on. As soon
Sorry.
as he starts flying.
There's a speaker, an African queen. I'm trying to accept your request. Maybe can you just jump out the space and then come back? Then I can accept you, because I've been trying to accept you and I don't know why not letting you up.
And thank you again for helping us with the speaker request via Bavarian. Gilbert, I think you can hear me now. Are you ready to jump in and tell us your thoughts? Should men give women money in relationships?
Thank you so much, Amka, and greetings to everyone on this space. I want to make a disclaimer first. I'm very married myself, and happily so. So my ideas should not, or my opinions should not give anyone any funny ideas. That being said, I think the whole dynamics that makes this subject that you have brought up very confusing is because of unbalanced or unhealthy expectations that come from different sexes that are there when it comes to relationships. It's not a problem really, to take care of a woman, because it is actually the role of a man to do that, to be provider, protector, and all those other wonderful things. But as a man, you can't be doing that to every girl that you come across. You also have to consider that, is this woman worthy of you investing that much? Because you see, the most dangerous thing that I learned in my dating life was that it's actually a very, very dangerous thing to date anyone who has nothing to lose, or who is not at the same level with you, who does not share in your vision as a man. That's the most dangerous thing you can do. So you find you might be a very focused guy looking for marriage, looking to settle down, but you dealing with a woman who's chasing trends. And at the end of the day, you people, no matter how much you try to do for that woman, you will never get anywhere. People speak of standards, and I know my worth, standards and worth. It's a very funny for me when I hear some broke women. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be a bit blunt. It's very funny for me when I hear some broke women saying, "I know my worth." Which worth are you talking about, and what is that worth? On whose budget is that worth? Because if you are going to have Chardonnay and wanna eat at Trump's because you're with me, but when you're alone, you're at Burger King taking fizzy drinks, then all of a sudden, when I'm in the picture, you can't take no fizzy drinks. Then you're just basically lying to yourself. You're setting standards because of my wallet, right? And not because of really your worth. You have no worth at all. So you find that also, we have this social media thing where people are being put under pressure by broke people with a lot of followers, millions of followers, but zero balances. If followers on Twitter and Instagram really signified bank balances, I think maybe, our generation wouldn't be so confused. I once did an experiment some other time with a couple of guys, and I told them, look, all these people that you can DM for 20 years and they'll never reply you, just ask them to send an e-wallet, even for 500 rands. They'll give you all their numbers, their account details, and everything. They'll answer you there and then. It's like they're waiting for a text. So people shouldn't really be put under pressure by broke people with a lot of followers who are trying to show trends, and they go to these shops where they had to hide the tags of the shirts or the clothes that they've put on just for the shoot and things like that. And they are going to these boutiques which have couches there, and they're sitting on a couch like they're at their house, yet they're in the boutique changing room, and they take several photos. Some of them were exposed last year. They go to the airport, they pay the plane cleaners there 500 rand. They jump on the plane. They have 16 wigs and 42 pairs of shoes there, changing every day, pretending they are flying to Dubai or wherever every now and then. So I think, you know, that is the dynamic that really confuses of these things. We have to come to a place where we understand that relationships develop and they evolve. When I first meet a woman, I might be a guy who's willing to take you out every day, but I need to build a home. I need to plan for kids. I can't be taking you out on dates every day. We have to start to think progressively and understand where we're going. Most guys are very good guys, but also women have been taught misplaced value. That's why a guy with a borrowed car that he took on zero deposit can go away with a beautiful girl, yet a guy with a title deed can be left walking and without a girl because women have been taught misplaced value. Everyone is trying to live for the weekend. If you put a six pack in front of a girl, their ovaries are already dancing, and she's already posting and all those things. So sometimes, even as men, learn to monitor some subtle things in the post of the women that you aspire to date. If you see these kind of women who are borrowing or asking for data on their statuses and things like that, just know that that's not a good woman. Because if she's willing to have anyone fund her lifestyle, every Jack and Jill, if she's borrowing for data, for example, on a status on WhatsApp, then any idiot with a 300 rand bundle can have it. You see, so you also need to know that the biggest flex that any man can get is a woman who no one else can touch. So I think the dynamics have to fair. I always say this in conclusion. I've always said this. Most women speak about the 90-day rule when it comes to sex. 90-day rule or 120-day rule or 6 dates and whatever. But why don't they talk about the same rule when it comes to eating the men's money or spending the men's money or chopping the men's money? That's my 2 cents for now. Thank you.
Thank you, leadership. Thank you. African Queen, good evening. Hello, we're listening.
Good evening, everybody. Firstly, I just want to address Gilbert a little bit with his point regarding broke women. I don't know if men are trying to say that broke women, according to society, don't deserve care and provision from their men. I understand it when Chief and Gilbert talk about Instagram clout and want to insist on the lifestyle provision just for show. On that regard, I truly do agree. But I don't think on the basis of men being providers and homemakers and us receiving money from them, the criteria has to be who you are in society first as a woman. And I don't think our worth as women is tied into our education or tied into how broke our families are or all of these other societal factors. And to always question where our value lies and to measure it according to our financial pocket, I feel like is quite an unfair thing. If as a man, you know that innately from the bottom of who you are or how you exist as a man within the construct of this society is you being a provider overall, you know, should it really matter how I come in? I got you're the one who's chosen me. You've seen me, you've vetted me, and I'm not talking about the one night stand or all of these other weird dynamics that are currently taking place in today's world. That's another segment altogether. I'm just trying to refer to the part where, as a mate, you've spotted your mate, you've chosen your woman. Now, when you've brought her into your world to feast on your table, you want to then ask her what she's bringing. Who fetched who? You know? And I feel like we are confusing the dynamics of the relationships and the order of what a man stands for and what a woman stands for in society. And unfortunately, as I think Black is mentioned, we can't value a woman's value quantitatively. It's difficult to do so. But our value is quite intangible. And I think society is forgetting how important we are to the construct of who we are as people, how we are rising and raising societies. Our responsibility as women, as mothers, is so intangible, it should never be quantified. We are worth so much more. Even if I can't say it right now that I'm worth it because childbirth on its own, where I can die on that hospital bed, that is invaluable. And for society to want to treat it as if it's nothing is shocking to me. And unfortunately, in this Black society, we are impoverished. We do come from apartheid South Africa, where we don't have the luxury of cash. We don't have generational wealth. We are so disadvantaged as the Black society. And that has taken us, or that puts us 100 steps behind other societies. And now, when Black women want to put their foot down to make these new demands, everybody wants to stand up and cry and call us names, slay queens, or whatever the case is. But the truth is, this is actually pretty normal. The minute you start to travel the world, the minute you start to interact with other societies, you realize that what we are being vilified for is quite normal. And I'm going to now give you a personal encounter, just to bring it closer to home. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandmother was a hardworking woman, providing fully in the household. The bond was under her name. And my grandfather did what he could, when he wanted to. And they were both educated, a teacher and a health inspector. So, and my grandmother used to say, Taj, I'm so tired. I love your grandfather. He's an amazing Black man. He's here every day. He's a fully present father. Mara, when it came to this aspect of providing and easing the load of his woman, he was nowhere to be found. He's just buying 2,000 rand worth of macro grocery. And are you saying this black woman must be happy and proud? She accepts that you are there. Yes, you are an important part of this family structure. But have you been the type of man that a woman needs in a woman's life? No. Now you've given this person 4, 6 children. Then I'll come to my mother. My mother is in the hands of what I believe is a true African king, right? My mother has no stresses that I currently have as a young single woman who's independent, working in South Africa. I'm tired. I run my own business. I'm working overtime. I can't wait till I meet a man who's going to assume me as his responsibility, truly. And I definitely want a man who's going to meet me where I'm at and elevate and edify my life. And there's nothing wrong with this desire I have. You can't vilify me for one day wanting to relax and just be a mother and raise my family and love my man. I want that. And why do I not deserve it? Are you going to measure me? Or do I have 1,000,000 rand in my account? Why do I want my child to go to St. Stithians? Why do I want to live in Bryanston or Morningside? That is so unfair, guys. Please snap out of this mentality. There is no honor in suffering for love. There is no honor. Stop lying to us. Stop lying to yourselves. There is no honor in me suffering with you there, wherever in the townships you grew up in, with no way out of it. Just because I'm trying to prove that I'm a good black woman. Nna ke a gana, ke a latola, a ke di tsene, you know? And I'm saying this because le nna ke di tsene at one point in time. At one point in time, I was a normal girl who was dating any ordinary man. We are just struggling together. And it didn't mean in that situation the man wasn't cheating, the man wasn't disrespecting me. All of those dynamics of poor relationships were still taking place. Whether the man was rich or poor, how men behave is not too far between. Men operate similar to each other, regardless of the money that they have. So don't come and try and make us feel like bad people for knowing better, desiring more, and wishing for greatness. I advocate for women to make whatever decision they choose. If they feel like they deserve your 50,000 rand for allowance, it's their decision. What onus lies on you is to decide whether this is your portion or not. If you do not agree with it, if you feel like this is lowly, if you feel like this woman is of low standard, do not talk to her. Leave her for her types. Well, now go focus on that strong black woman who you find value in. And let's not vilify each other. All decisions are good decisions. No one is bad, no one is good. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But now I was trying to close it with you, but now you've triggered all the speakers. Now they want to talk. And my
I'm
battery's
sorry,
dying.
Ceci.
You triggered everybody. I was like, oh no, this girl's bringing up the energy. Damn it. Guys, this is why I missed you so much. You know, we walk away from these spaces with so much knowledge. Right now, I'm in a different space from when I started. Chief and Gilbert, please keep it very brief. I am closing up now. Gilbert quickly, then Chief, we are closing up. Gilbert, what's up?
Yeah, I'm not attacking my sister that just spoke. She spoke like a true African queen, and I've got total respect for that. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and we should respect people in the decisions they make. However, that being said, we should always come to, the bottom line. This is where the issue is. You might have your standards that you're setting up as a woman, and you need men to come into your life and take care of you. But the way my sister is speaking, she's speaking from a place of pain where she has tried to find rest at several bus stops. And from those bus stops, she could not find the rest that she desires. Now she's meeting me, a guy that she just met today, and she's expecting me to build a big shed for her, bring a pool of water, put the water, your feet in bath salts, and tenderize them and massage them every now and then so that I can sob away the tears that she has cried in the 7 bad relationships that she has had before. But you see, the value that a man starts to have in a woman is not going to be determined by the trends that the world is setting, because whatever his name, Cardi B's husband bought the wife a Lamborghini truck or something like that, even if she can't drive. Those are not the standards that a man is going to come with. The principle of what a relationship is what's going to structure how a man treats you. I'll give you a good example. I've said to you, I'm a married man. At the point where I am now, God has been merciful and graceful so that I've managed to attain some level of wealth. There is nothing that my wife can ask from me today, and I say no. Why? Because she has mastered the way to my heart. There is a way she asks. The challenge that we have with women now, they are already bitter and angry. So if they are wanting to ask for help from a man, they are doing it from a place of anger, bitterness, and it's like a place of serious revolution. She's already, chanting slogan and doing toy toy in the relationship that she just entered yesterday, and calling short need flowers because last year someone missed a birthday. Now I have to get a flower and everything. But there is a pace to everything. There is a pace to everything. And if we don't understand that as women, that's why we continue being damaged. Because you'll be damaged in the relationship, getting damaged in the next relationship. Why? Because you are not giving yourself time to sit down and say, look, this is grade one stuff. I'm starting business 101. This is the first lecture. I cannot manage to make this guy get there. Yes, we are putting on the table our expectations and what we desire to harvest from this relationship. This man is also putting up things. But now the problem is, if you start living your life like furniture that is on hire purchase, when that man fails to make the installment come month end, then that you as a property will be taken back and given to someone else. This is why now women always come back and say men are sexualizing us, men are using us as objects. Thank you.
Chief, do you want to jump in quickly? Please keep it brief.
Yeah, I'll jump in quickly. I hope the energy in this thing can charge your phone. I only hope. But anyway, it's a pity we are taking Afri Queen. Mina, I was gonna take you out, but story for another day. But anyway, the tricky part with Imad is sometimes that we also need to be. I think maybe supposingly, I would tell my daughter to be very more careful about that if she can't make up her own mind. Is that there are terms and conditions, T's and C's in the Golden Hand Club. We must never forget that. So as much as we say, I give, you must know that it comes with T's and C's. And when those T's and C's becomes terms that you need to honor, and it should never be an issue. And that's where the problem starts in, that the moment you start putting these things as a mining up front, you must just know that it will come with T's and C's. And that's where this T's and C's becomes problems, But also I do say that if you're going to have a partner in life, let it be someone that will bring peace and a safe space in your life, not an extension of your trauma. So that are my closing words. Leadership. May your battery not rest may it rest in power.
Thank you so much. Finally, guys, Jabulela, thank you for such a fulfilling session. Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to our co-hosts. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Like, I'm in a completely different space. I'm out here looking for 20,000 allowance every month. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you, African Queen. Thank you for the permission. Good night.